He had done everything right. His visa was valid. His documents were complete. He had traveled to the United States before without any issues. And yet, the moment he stepped off the plane in 2026, something felt different. He walked toward immigration like everyone else. Passport in hand. Calm. Confident. But then it happened. An officer looked at his screen, paused, and said something that instantly changed everything. "Sir, step aside." At first, he thought it was routine. Maybe a random check. Maybe just a few questions. But minutes turned into an hour, and that's when the situation became serious. He was no longer just a traveler. He was now under inspection. And what happened next is something every immigrant needs to understand before they travel. Because what happened to him is not rare anymore. It is happening right now at airports across the United States. And if you don't understand why, you could be next. This was a real case reported earlier this year. A software engineer working in the United States for over 5 years, holding a valid visa with a clean immigration history. No violations. No overstays. No criminal record. On paper, he was the ideal traveler. But at the airport, none of that protected him. So what actually happened? Why would someone with a valid visa get stopped at immigration? To understand that, you need to understand how airport checks have changed in 2026. Because what most people don't realize is this: the airport is not just an entry point anymore. It is one of the most powerful immigration checkpoints in the entire system. And the officers there have more authority than most people think. Let's break this down clearly. When you arrive at a US airport, you are not officially inside the United States yet. This is where many people get confused. Even if you have a visa, even if you have traveled before, even if everything looks perfect, the final decision is made right there at the airport, by the officer in front of you. And in 2026, these officers are under increased pressure. More screening, more verification, more detailed questioning. Why? Because policies have shifted. Security checks have expanded. And data systems have become more connected than ever before. Now here is where things become serious. During his inspection, the officer did something unexpected. He started asking questions not just about his visa, but about his job, his employer, his work history, his travel patterns. At first, normal questions. But then, deeper. Where exactly do you work? What projects are you handling? Have you ever worked for another employer? Now imagine this situation. You've just landed after a long flight. You're tired. You're stressed. And suddenly, you are being questioned in a way that feels like an investigation. This is where many people make their first mistake. They panic. They give incomplete answers. Or worse, inconsistent answers. And that is exactly what triggers further suspicion. In his case, one small inconsistency created a major problem. Not because he lied, but because his answer did not match what was already in the system. And this is something you need to understand very clearly. In 2026, immigration officers are not just relying on your words. They are checking your visa records, your past travel history, your employer data, your previous applications, all in real time. So even a small mismatch can raise a red flag. Now here's the part that shocked him the most. He was taken to secondary inspection. This is not a normal conversation anymore. This is a separate room. More officers. More detailed questioning. And sometimes your phone, your emails, even your documents can be reviewed. For him, this moment changed everything. Because now it was no longer about entering the country. It was about proving that he should be allowed in. And after several hours, the final decision came. He was not allowed to enter. His visa was not cancelled permanently, but he was sent back on the next flight. Just like that. After years of living and working legally, he was stopped and turned away. Now take a moment and think about this. If someone with a valid visa, clean record, and stable job can be stopped at the airport, then what does that mean for others? This is where most people misunderstand the system. They believe if my visa is valid, I am safe. But that is not how it works. Your visa allows you to travel. It does not guarantee entry. That decision is always made at the airport. Now let's talk about why this is happening more often in 2026. There are three major reasons. First, the increased verification. Immigration officers are now trained to dig deeper. They are not just checking documents, they are checking consistency. Second, system integration. Different government databases are now connected. Your entire immigration history is visible in seconds. Third, policy pressure. Officers are expected to be more strict, more cautious, more detailed. And this combination is creating a situation where more people are being stopped. Now here is the most important part. What can you do to avoid this? Because while you cannot control the system, you can control how you prepare. First, know your own case. You should be able to clearly explain your visa type, your job role, your employer, your purpose of travel. Second, consistency is everything. What you say, it must match what is in the system. Third, stay calm. Panic creates mistakes. Mistakes create suspicion. And suspicion leads to deeper checks. And finally, understand this truth. The immigration system is not just about approvals anymore. It is about verification at every step, including the airport. If this helped you understand what is really happening at US airports in 2026, subscribe to Global Immigration News. Because we don't just report immigration updates. We explain what they actually mean for you. And for real-time alerts, join our WhatsApp channel. Link is in the description. You may think your documents are enough. But the real question is, white right pointing back hand index, will they be enough at the airport?